Hi, welcome to the Resources Roadhouse. I'm Wally Graham and I'm at the 2019 Brisbane Resources Roundup. And I'm with Viv Preston, who is Chief Cook and Bottle Washer at Maxgeo. Maxgeo Data Management Company. So, Viv, my first question is, what exactly is data management?
I think it's, I suppose with us being in the industry for about 20 years, data management has been something that's in some ways been forced upon people. They've got digital files and they've had to try and organise those files into some sort of structure. But I think we come into a fairly interesting period now where people are wanting to take all this information, automate all this information, embrace digital disruption, and so you see data management changing quite rapidly in the mining industry at the moment. We automate a whole bunch of things like assay files, well, mainly the structured and unstructured data. So when I talk about structured data, we're looking at assay files or geological files or downhole survey files, and then we look at the unstructured information, which is sort of hyperspectral, core photography, sonic images, and how do we merge all this into the database, automate all that stuff,
right,
and then get it out there so the geos can do more interpretation of integrated data sets.
So, correct me if I get this wrong. Remember, I'm just a humble journo, so all this sort of technical stuff does tend to wash over me. So you take all that information, and is it then that you sort of create the picture or the model of what we're looking at on site, so the geos can go, oh, that looks interesting, that doesn't look so interesting, we'll go and maybe drill there, not there. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, I think up until now we look at people dealing with siloed information. You get the geos doing this bit and the geophysicists doing that little bit over there, and it's all disparate and not in a single database. So I think we kind of at a space now we want to move all that into a central database, and I suppose what digitalization does is allows people to iterations. In the old days you'd have a map and you'd copper, lead, zinc, and you'd colour it in, take you a week, and then you'd colour the next element in. Well, nowadays you can do multiple iterations quickly, and I suppose as geologists we're looking for anomalies. So can we use as many data sets to look for those anomalies as quickly as possible?
Yeah. And I suppose when you've got everything on hand like that, it's nice and easy for you to go, you'll be looking at something and go, oh, hang on, didn't we have a similar idea of that previously? And instead of going to a big filing cabinet, you can just go, oh, hang on, bang, here it is.
I think also, Wally, that up until now, a lot of data management's been around just trying to get the files into the database. We've had people being, in some ways, glorified data entry clocks, but that's all changing daily at the moment. We're trying to automate all that information into the database. So those, in some ways, the people who have been doing that data entry up until now have to move into that data science space. That work that they were doing is now is been automated. So we're trying to encourage guys to get into that data science. So and then you start talking about algorithms and AI and things like that. But I mean, all that stuff is only as good as the database. Or very well putting an AI or an algorithm together. But if your database is not done correctly, or that's, in our view, it's possibly a waste of time.
Right. Yeah. So you were just saying then, like, you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
So when you first kicked it off compared to now, like, would there have been in the early days a bit of a reluctance to sort of use the data management, or is it now just a thing that people say, well, it's all part and parcel, it's what we've got to do?
I think it's yes. I mean, data management has always been a side issue. You look at companies, the asset of the data, the asset of the project, whether it be an exploration project or a mine, is in the data. And often we find that people don't, put enough focus on the data and make sure that it's integrated and it's cost effective and it's distributed across the organisation. People got access to various parts of the database, but that's changing at the moment. I mean, most of the people we're talking at the moment have now embraced that single data management system and an enterprise-wide access to the data, depending on from the CEO right down to the guys, the pit technicians or field technicians and things. Yeah.
So is there anything sort of on the horizon, any new sort of technology within the data management field that we can expect to see?
I think the most exciting thing is trying to get that unstructured data and the structured data integrated into layers that we can utilise for the interpretation. At the moment, that's kind of done separately. You kind of got all your structured data, and then the unstructured data is your maps and plans elsewhere. But I think as we can merge all that information into a single application, that we can slice and dice data, I think that's the exciting part about it. And I think also sometimes small organisations like us fight above our belt. Some of the times the bigger guys got all this, the AI that they are doing often is not commercial. Then they spend a lot of time and money doing some stuff, but we don't see it being implemented into the mining space. I think sometimes the smaller guys are more aggressive in focusing on one small thing and making it happen.
And making it and getting the go ahead and really getting in there and doing it. Yeah. All right, Viv. Well, that's actually that's been quite enlightening as about what other aspects of the industry there are. You just don't go and get out there with your shovels and your trucks and start digging away. You do actually really have to think about where you're going to do it and how you go about pinpointing that little spot in the middle of of nowhere, basically, of where you're going to do it.
Yeah, and I think as we move from as the talks at this conference, the guys are talking about the projects on the surface have all been found. There may be a slim chance of picking another one up, but as we start drilling, doing more drilling and probably deeper drilling, then this data management space becomes more and more important, And yes, you then want to use some AI, some algorithms to do some predictive analysis on the drilling that you're doing. So you don't have, maybe you can cut back on some of the drilling, to try and find something. And I think what happens now is that we want to look at things like mineralogy in the database and predictive analysis of rock types from clay materials, and so that's kind of all basic kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's coming to the fore at the moment. And I think that data management becomes even more important as we start to do more drilling and we start to look deeper into the earth.
All right. Well, Viv, thank you very much for giving us an insight into the world of data management here at the Resources Roadhouse. Good to see you.
Thanks very much, Wally.
Cheers.
Good, you mate.